Hey everybody, welcome back to the Todd and Tony Show. As you can see on this screen, it is RV related tech tips, and we have been actually following the tech tips you do, the shorter ones, and kind of doing deep dives and going into further discussion.
Right.
We have been having guests, but today it's just going to be mano y mano, which is kind of cool. But today, this episode is brought to you by Big Beard Batteries. It's made by Hims Truly. And
Hims Truly.
If you're looking for a battery that is over-designed and underpriced.
Kind of wondering where you were going there. Yeah.
No, basically Todd and his team wanted to develop a battery that would, be good for his rig, and he wanted to have all the accoutrements.
Yeah, all the bells and whistles and none of the space.
So
take up as little space as possible.
Yeah. So bigbeardbattery.com, go check it out. There's actually a audit sheet that you can get for free.
Yeah.
When you go to the website, there'll be a little pop-up. If you sign up for the newsletter, you get a free download, an audit sheet, and the audit sheet's great for if you're doing an audit of your electrical systems, how much power you consume, and it'll help you design your
because the number one question people get whenever they're either purchasing a solar system from me or having it installed is, well, how much do I need? And really that really depends on each person, on how much they're actually using. So the audit is kind of a self-reflective exam about what you need in order to RV happily.
Yep. Right. So go to bigbeardbattery.com and check it out.
There we go.
The tech tip this week was, I think, the top 5 or top 3.
Well, just top reasons, right?
Top
things you need to do.
We haven't added it up yet.
Your RV, yeah.
Normally on the tech tips, if you all realize how much work went into those tech tips, you'd be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Literally, a lot of times we don't tell Todd, or he doesn't know what he's covering until we press the record button and say go. That's why the bloopers at the end are always so great.
Yeah.
But lately we haven't been able to
Oh, I got some today. I couldn't get out some phrase. I can't even remember it. I'll try it again.
Well, as you can tell, I am ready for fall. I'm excited about it. It's the time of year that I just can't wait because we spend most of the time in cutoff shirts and shorts and just sweating profusely all the time. But that's only for 3 months. Now we're in the transition.
Well, that's spring, and then you got 4 months of summer.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to make it sound better in my head. But I'm ready. It's actually 80 degrees outside, and I'm in a full winter coat because I'm ready.
Yeah.
I am ready.
Trying to bring it on.
So what are the things that we need to consider when it's fall time?
A couple things. There's going to be the tips that we would provide for those that are going to RV, right? Still be in the RV, maybe planning trips during the fall. But you also have those that fall is the time, basically. That's the last window you have before you got to winterize it and put it up. So I really want to focus first on those that are actually using the RV in the fall.
Okay.
So I think the number one tip, the first thing you want to look at is, of course, taking a look at the roof. Fall is exactly that. If you're under a tree or anything else, things are going to fall. And they're going to land on your roof. And so not just in the fall, but in the summer and everything else, it's too hot a lot of times to get up there in the summer and kind of really address that roof. So fall is a perfect time to get up there before the winter hits, to go ahead and assess the roof, start to clean it out. And I was talking about on the tech tip, to go ahead and give a light cleaning, some soap and water, simple green, something very mild is what you use. And then no brushing. It's just more, you just kind of spray it on there just a little bit. And if you need to, an old school mop, that is what you would use, because we got to recall that is a membrane up there that is rubber, and it's sitting under the sun all this time, and it's just taking UV damage. On average, you lose about 1 millimeter of membrane material a year. And when you get up there and brush it off, and exfoliate it, you're tearing off more and more, and you're just really cutting into the lifespan of your roof.
So don't go up there with a broom and really get into it.
It's more of a very light brush. Matter of fact, got a lot of people that actually just use a little small leaf blower to get up there and kind of knock the stuff off. I mean, it's catch-22 because all the stuff that sits up there, the dirt and the grime and all that will eat away at that membrane as well. So, like I said,
because the membrane opens up when it's hot, the dirt gets in, and then it can't close.
Right.
Okay.
And then you just have, with wind blowing and everything else, if you've got something sticky up there that's just not good for the roof, it's going to wear down.
What about pressure washing? Because I see that all the time.
No, that's even worse. It's the same thing. You're really exfoliating that roof, for lack of a better term.
So no loofahs either.
Yeah. Well, no, a soft sponge maybe. But I mean, I think it's not a deep cleaning. You're just trying to get a lot of the gunk off and let the water and the soap do its job.
Okay.
The problem is that turns into a whole RV cleaning because whatever's on top of the roof ends up on the sides.
On the sides, yeah. Now, as we're cleaning the roof, we're also going to be inspecting all of the sealant too.
Yes, the perfect time to do this.
Now, this is getting on all fours and
yeah.
inspecting inch by inch.
Yep. And as you said, as well, as you put on your knee pads. I know you wear your knee pads every night.
I didn't have knee pads once, and it literally, I didn't realize that the heat and just the friction of the rubber, I had no skin on my knees.
Right.
I'm not going to put a picture up, but it was bad.
So, yeah, knee pads while you're down, because you can't assess the sealant, standing up. You really got to get down there and look. And I always tell people the worst leak to have is a slow leak, just a little pinhole, because by the time you find out, it's too late.
Now, what are we looking for on the sealant?
Okay. Well, you want to make sure. Now, the sealant is there, basically bonding two substrates. Now, substrate could be, the membrane, and then, of course, you either have, a front cap or an end cap, and then that sealant sits in between the two. And what that sealant does is bridge the gap between the two. And you want to make sure that sealant has a good adhesion on both sides and there's no holes. Most sealant, especially if it's Dicor or Alpha Systems or anything, is an acrylic-based sealant. And so it's 40% water. It's going to dry up over time. And as over the years, you're going to see that sealant get smaller and smaller. And it can actually form holes and everything else. There might have been an air pocket in the application, something like that. It's covered up because there was a thin layer over it. You give it time, it'll open up. Well, that just gives you that much closer for that water to get to whatever it is we're trying to seal up. So,
all right, now when you're going to, if you do need to seal over the Dicor, that's where you want to bring the brush out and scrub it real good?
Well, no.
No?
So, I mean, you could do that, and you're going to be up there forever.
Check that out. Leave in the comments if you are throwing away your brushes right now, because I thought that's how you did it. You clean it off as good as possible to make it to bond.
Two things, some gloves and some glasses, but you can use denatured alcohol and a towel and just simply wipe it off. I prefer using parts cleaner, so non-chlorinated CRC parts cleaner, the green can. You spray it on and then immediately wipe it off. I mean, there's no scrubbing involved or anything.
Just with a rag.
Just with a rag.
And it'll dry quick too.
Oh yeah, because it's got a propellant that is kind of like an ether base. It just disappears as soon as it hits.
Okay.
But I have yet to find any type of dirt that can withstand what parts cleaner can do.
There you go.
So now you got to be careful with that. You don't want it to drip over the sides, right? Because it'll start making the sides of your RV real shiny. And so then you have to parts cleaner the whole RV. You don't want to do that. So, I mean, very mildly spray, wipe off, spray, wipe off, spray, wipe off, and move on. Here's the thing. You want to prep, that sealant so that you can add a second layer. Now, if you've got more than one layer, this is where you would consult a technician to come out, maybe pull off the old sealant the proper way, and then put on a new sealant. Okay, and a lot of times with the old sealant, if it is failing, you can get a mild heat gun, and warm it up and begin to peel it back. Take your time with that though, because it will pull back the membrane, right? So you don't want to do it too hard, but getting more into a detailed explanation of how to repair the roof versus just kind of sealing.
And anytime you get into that situation, we recommend getting an actual technician to do it. Because there's DIY, and then there's, DIY that, now you have to fix what you started.
Right.
Because
sometimes the job gets way bigger than you thought.
It gets out of control quick.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some that can do that, and then some, you got to know your limits.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to make sure you have the available equipment that you need, because once you start in it, you're like, oh crap, there's no turning back.
Now, when you're on the roof, of course, you're going to check the sealant around the vents and all of the, both the stacks and the vents. And what about around the air conditioner? Do you pull the air conditioner up at all?
No, because you really don't want to do that. So it has a little compression membrane underneath it. And quite technically, if you ever take the air conditioner off, you're supposed to replace that one. So typically we don't. Now, you do want to clean up underneath it, because there is a lot of gunk that gets stored up under there. That's kind of where it gets blown into. So just, a mild wipe down. And, of course, you can use the CRC up under there and clean that down. But I would take the shroud off and begin while you're up there. Go ahead and clean the coils.
It's beautiful out. The sun's shining, but it's not burning your skin. There's no radiation.
I do want to say, don't use the CRC on your air conditioning coils, right? That's just for the membrane, right? Some people say, well, you said. No, I didn't.
No. So you got coil cleaner. You have two different types?
I prefer two different types. There is a evaporator coil cleaner because it's an antimicrobial, antibacterial agent. So if you're cleaning your evaporator coils, that's the air you breathe. So you might as well go ahead and disinfect it a little bit while you're at it. And then you can just get the cheap stuff for your condenser coils.
Yeah, and then making sure that you straighten all the coils. Now, that one comes with like a little brush.
A little brush, that you can use. A good steel brush, fine-tooth steel brush that you can get at Harbor Freight or something real tiny, that can help, get out the gunk and slightly straighten it up. Now, coils, if they're not touching each other, the average person can probably pull that apart. But if they're touching, like if they bent over and started touching, oh, wow, you're going to be up there a little bit, and it's going to take a while.
Especially doing it like your pocket knife, trying one at a time. So a nice coil brush would be a good investment. And then while you got the cap open, you might as well vacuum out some of the dust and dirt inside
You'd be surprised. Inside the shroud up underneath that air conditioner shroud, all the stuff it gets. How did that stick get in there?
Yeah.
So it'd be good to while the vacuum is up there, if you have one, go ahead and take it up there and suck all that out.
Little shop vac.
Yeah.
They make some battery powered shop vacs now. So anything else on the roof?
So if you're looking at the seals, you're changing the seals out, you've cleaned it, and you've cleaned out the air conditioning coils. That's a pretty good day.
That's okay. So day 2, we wake up, the birds are shining.
Yeah.
Or the sun's chirping.
So what I said on the tech tip, this is whenever you change the air out. We want to put in the fall air, so you want it to be 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen inside your tires.
Yes. That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other fall things do we want to do? Because it's nice out.
Yeah.
I think it's more of, it's not like you're preparing for the winter.
You're preparing for the winter. Exactly.
But, man, it's so much easier to do it now that it's nice out.
This is the perfect time to go ahead and sanitize. It all depends. If you're full-time, this is the perfect time to sanitize your tanks.
Okay.
Get those all cleaned out. But I'll always say, start testing out the furnace, run it through a test, but clean around it before you turn it on. Because this is a good time to find out. A lot of times people will put it up and it's just fine. They pull it back out for the next year and it's not working, right? So you got a lot of animals and bugs and everything else that like to travel into the furnace openings, the exhaust section, and kind of put a house there.
Right. Now, they've got those screens, but I heard that those screens for the furnace, that actually voids your warranty.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. But, yeah,
okay.
it absolutely voids the warranty unless you use their screen, right? And that's where it gets kind of silly.
Come on, folks.
Yeah, so it all depends on the name of that screen. But, I get it. What they're saying is that will stop the airflow, but yet they make their own. Some brands.
So will bug divers.
Yeah.
Definitely stop the airflow.
But it's not covered under the warranty?
What?
Bug divers.
Mud divers?
Yeah.
Bug divers?
Yeah, and no external forces are covered under warranty. So, yeah, to them it's like this is a life safety issue, no diver screens.
Except except ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely put them on. I just, if I were to take it in for service, I wouldn't have those on.
So what do you do if you have a diver screen on? You just
hide it.
Well, I'm saying for you now that it's fall, it's nice out.
Still test it.
Just test it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and run it through a test. Now, soon if you see soot or something like that, or if it fails to ignite, then chances are there may be an obstruction. There may be something going on. We want to go through our little test, make sure that we have our propane, we get appropriate propane. That's another thing. You run through propane faster, it seems, in the winter because you're using it more.
Yeah.
And it's harder to, take the external heat to, basically vaporize that propane on the inside. So you tend to run through it faster. Really what it is, you get down to a smaller amount and it just won't vaporize. So as the temperature drops, you're going to see yourself refilling your propane cylinders more often, and just be aware of that. I'd always say do that in the day. Don't wait till night, because Murphy's Law, that's when you run out of propane.
Yeah.
I can go 2 more days.
So when you're testing your furnace, it's also normal for it to smell like you're cremating somebody.
Sometimes, right, because you got a lot of dirt and grime that builds up in that primary burn tube. And dead skin, yeah.
That's, believe it or not, on your air filter, your air conditioner, that's the majority of what you see there.
Well, the first thing, I said, I would vacuum around it. I would vacuum all around that furnace. Find the furnace and vacuum around it.
A lot of times it's got a removable, a lot of times it's in the cabinetry and there's a removable wood grill, and you can just
kind of get in there. But it's all the other stuff that the OEMs left in there. There's going to be
screws,
sawdust, and But then again, that's where all my hair went.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird. But yes, every time we would turn ours on after almost 6-8 months of not using it, man, it smelled horrible. And the same thing happens at your house too.
Yeah,
it's just there's dead skin and dust and stuff sitting on the heating coils. Yeah. And in this case, the heat exchanger, and it's going to burn off.
It's going to burn off, yeah.
So it's good to get it done out of the way, get the windows open.
Easy thing to do is just crank the temperature up. A lot of people say it's not cold enough for it to turn on. Well, crank it up. It'll turn on. Crank that thing to 80, or have your air conditioner on for a little bit, and then flip it over to furnace.
Or move to Colorado.
Yeah.
It's snowing there already.
Oh, yeah. This may be a good time to go, though, because the roads are probably still open.
Yeah. I loved cold weather camping. I really did.
Yeah.
We loved it. There was one night where we were in Durango, Colorado, and it was going to get to minus something. And they can say that it's a 4-season RV, but at some point, it just,
they're mild seasons is what they're rated for.
We had to, a friend of ours, Brian Willard, he owned a heated horse barn. We had to pull our rig into the heated horse barn because it was just going to get ridiculously cold, and everything would freeze up at that point.
Yeah.
But
to me, that's why they have wheels, is to move it. But I tell you, one of the things I didn't know and enjoy it so much. We did Thanksgiving we took it out for a vacation one time, and actually went to a park. And what was funny, no one was there, so we had the whole park to ourselves, just about. Us and a couple friends, and we just did our own Thanksgiving right out there, and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, we had a Yogi Bear park to ourselves. We were the only ones in the entire park. It was the week before they were closing.
Right.
Nobody was there. Matter of fact, I bet you they were pretty upset that we were, because they're like.
You ever have a job where you were like, okay, 5 till, let's close the doors, and one person walks in.
Honk, we're here.
Son of a.
Yeah. I celebrated my 40th there. Yeah, it was awesome. But okay, so furnace, we tested that.
Yep.
You think this is you mentioned sanitizing your water tank. So would you do anything with the water heater? So fall is actually a great time to just go ahead and knock everything out.
Knock everything out. Spring and fall. If you have a Suburban, if you're sanitizing, you want to go ahead and sanitize it. But that's also a wonderful time to go ahead and check that anode rod.
Mm-hmm.
Get that all taken care of if you have one. Now, if you have a tankless, you do need to descale that. It's a little bit more detailed in how you do that. You got to have a little pond pump, and you got to pump in the vinegar and pump it back out. But
gross.
Yeah, you got to descale it. That's one of the things that we're finding out with this, right? Because remember, every time you travel, you're in different municipalities, and they have different mineral contents in the water. All that builds up, right? So it's a little bit more detailed on how to do that, and it is something you want to do. If you want to run vinegar through the whole system, you can. That's a lot of vinegar. A lot of people, they're either using bleach or going over to hydrogen peroxide. And you can do almost the same amount of hydrogen peroxide as you would bleach. Now, that won't descale it by any means, but it'll get rid of a lot of the bacteria and algae and everything else that's growing.
Never thought of using hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah. Well, I have, a lot of people just don't like bleach. Right?
Won't it foam up if it hits any organic materials?
I know it does on my, leg whenever I had a cut.
On your
it would foam up, on my boo-boos.
Yeah.
That was before we figured out that would kill everything. Right? Even the red blood cells turn white.
Oh, so you're not supposed to use hydrogen peroxide?
No.
Anymore.
See, that's what happens when you listen to science. They say about science that always changes. So
that's true.
You just got to accept it, and it'll change. It's no one's fault.
Yeah, unless you're the science.
Kind of like wearing mask, not wearing mask. That science changed all the way through that daggum thing.
Yeah. Boy, that's a hot topic.
It was. I'm not sure that it is anymore. During the heat of the thing, it was. I'm not sure now. We all look back and go, okay. Now, I know that some people, if you choose to wear it, go for it. I got no problem with that.
I just love how one side was blaming the other side and the other side was blaming the other side. It was a great way to separate the country.
Yeah.
It seems like
I think a lot of it was planned, though, by the ruling class.
Oh, boy.
Right? Not left side, right side, just ruling class.
So back to RVs. All right.
So since we're talking tech tips, the reason why you're in an RV is to get away from society in the first place. So
like and subscribe.
That's right.
Well, it's also to be able to see, what this country has to offer. I found just an amazing freedom when I took my kids and wife out, and we were in kind of a unique situation because I was being paid to travel, and so I had to travel. I had to be gone in a different city every week, sometimes every 2 weeks, and so just bouncing from city to city to city, and it's amazing how different the East Coast is from the West Coast and North and South. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Now, have you ever done like Vermont in the fall?
Mm-hmm.
I still want to do that. I just don't know that I want to take an RV up there with all.
It's very hilly up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
If you have a Ram, it's just not going to handle it.
Yeah. Well, we drove ours. It was a Class A, which was pretty wild. We had the V10 Triton, so, I mean, you go downhill, and then it's just a screamer going uphill.
Right.
I couldn't get it to, that was brutal. If you have a diesel,
first.
It's the way to go. It really is.
No, I do. I want to see that. I want to see the leaves change. I want to, drive through and look at all the different trees. That's another thing I love is when you go to different regions, the trees change. The different types of trees. You see totally different trees here. You have your pines and your oaks.
And they turn brown.
They do.
Yeah.
Or they go from green to falling down. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, we're dead. Boom.
Yeah, it's really pretty up there. We were in Connecticut around that time, and upstate New York. All those areas are really, really beautiful. We had one stint where we were stuck in the northern part of the states during the winter, and so that was a little brutal. We learned how to camp in extreme temperatures.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Nothing's impossible.
It's got to be planned.
Unless it gets like really like minus 20.
Mm-hmm.
You just you figure out how to survive and the resources that you need, and
extra blankets, 2 pairs of socks.
Now, I did have a buddy of mine that used to take his heat buddy and bring it inside the rig, propane tank and all, and that drove me nuts. But outside of that, it wasn't bad.
You got to do what you got to do. I mean, if you're going to die, you might as well die warm.
Right. So any other cold weather tips?
No, it's not that you have to do a hell of a lot. It's just, making sure this is a wonderful time. It's kind of in between seasons just to do a checkup on the RV.
Get your maintenance done.
Get your roof done. Clean up around the furnace. Go ahead and check your tires, like I said, because they will sag just a bit. So go ahead and put in extra oxygen, extra nitrogen, Don't pay for the nitrogen. That's hilarious that you get charged that at your local dealership. Hey, we're going to put nitrogen in there. How much? 78%. Thank you.
Yeah. How much nitrogen is in air?
78%.
That's oddly curious.
Yeah. Roughly.
All right. Well, again, thank you for joining us. And
Yeah.
this is brought to you by Big Beard Batteries. Todd, tell us about the Big Beard batteries and the way that the active balancing. I think that,
Yeah.
hang with us for just a couple more seconds because I think you want to hear this. There's a lot of different battery companies out there producing good equipment. But when you have somebody that has been teaching in this industry and seeing what the needs are from his students and developing a product that actually answers the needs of those people, you come up with something like this. And there's some new products out, the 320 that's going to be coming out. We can drop that. And
we got the 320M. It's in the same profile as the 280M. It's just now they're 320, so you get 40 more amps inside. So it's really, the box is actually designed tall enough to where I as the cells get a little bit taller, having a little bit more power to them, total power to them, we could put them in the same box. So it's only 14.75 inches long, I think 10.5 inches tall, 7.5 inches wide.
Yeah,
that's kind of the main thing.
It's not much bigger than a standard battery.
So that's 3 batteries in that space. The 320. And now we have the 320MH coming out now that winter is coming.
Heated.
Now it's heated. But the active balance, let me explain what's going on there. So, there's a lot of great companies and a lot of great batteries out there. Now, you also have some that are bottom dollared. If you ever crack those open, they're more your standard batteries. Can they run large items? Because all of this inside is, one, it's the quality of the cells that you're using. And the one thing that we do see over time, especially with new brands coming out, they just keep changing their name. They run their name for a little bit. They get dinged. They'll switch their name.
Sounds like the RV industry.
All right, let's go make another product.
Yeah, we're going to burn that one.
It's proper contact space, how much copper you're using on the inside in order to let that current flow through.
What you can draw out of it at one time.
And these things are, they're built to be high demand, right? To be used for high demand. This is for running everything. Well, because you have basically 4 batteries inside, they'll get out of balance. And the standard BMS out there in almost all applications, they have what's called passive balancing. You have to wait until that battery is completely charged and sitting in float mode. So it's still on a charger, but it's in float mode, which means you're not using it, okay? Then over the period of a couple weeks, because it's a millivolt signal that's being sent, it takes weeks for them to balance out, which is great if you're not going to use the battery.
Right.
But for those that are going to be hardcore, you're spending so much money on a battery, why not get one that stays balanced even while you're using it? And that's where we have the active balancing. Now, I didn't come up with it. I don't want anyone to think that, but the technology was out there, and it's being able to go, okay, I have these guys over here. Let's chat with them. Let's get my parameters the way I want, and let's put it in with these good cells here. Let's custom a box, and let's put it all together, because there's so many things inside. I got flexible bus bars, because these cells will begin to swell about 1 millimeter every time they're charged. Well, if you have a flat bus bar and you tighten down the posts, over time, those terminals are going to bend every time it flexes, right? Because they're going to push out on each other. And if you're going to, offer a warranty for 10 or 11 years, we're still, there's a lot of batteries out there that have a 10-year warranty. We haven't got to the 10 years. Right. We see a lot of people turning them in, go ahead and upgrading. And that's just simply because, over time, the physical nature of the way it was designed is going to wear out. So it's just one of those things that, spending years of, starting down this road and saying, okay, it's just component-based. Let's look inside. Let's start doing some testing. And there's others out there that'll crack them open and do some testing. But just testing alone doesn't get you anywhere. Well, I wouldn't buy this brand. I wouldn't buy this brand. It's how do I make that better?
Yeah, and having the amount of power that comes out of it so significant. That's what I love about Big Beard batteries is, the video we did where we said, can you run an AC unit off of one battery? And it's like, well, if it's a Big Beard, yeah. But not only am I going to turn my AC unit on, I'm going to hook up a professional heat gun and run that as well.
Right. I wanted to push it. They push 200 amps by themselves. Now, would I recommend doing that? No. Because if you buy an inverter big enough to run your air conditioner, you want to run it for a couple hours. And while my battery can perform that...
So leave the heat gun off.
Turn the heat gun off. But this is where, at least that it can actually handle the high amp output. So it's not just going to be the air conditioner, right, that people run. Because there's no way you can turn off all the lights and have nothing else drawing on those batteries and just the air conditioner. So that was kind of the test. And we pushed it to the limits, and it held it just fine.
It never faulted, though, because we went over 200 amps.
Yeah, and you're going to have that for a little bit. So it can actually surge to 300 amps for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, we weren't in any danger there, but I was, checking the heat, checking the internal temperature, no heat displacement, or no heat buildup, I should say. So, that just goes to the quality of how it was actually put together.
Right on.
That's what we do here in Texas.
Well, go to bigbeardbattery.com and check it out. They do free designs. So if you reach out to their sales team, they'll actually design your system for you. Doesn't get any better than that.
No, other than, that, and we can even find installers for you, trained installers. So,
very nice.
There's a lot of people who will attempt to DIY it, and it's just like that roof. They're like, oh, well, crap, I bit off way more than I can chew.
And these are all people that have gone through your solar class.
Yeah. So they're all trained, they're all technicians, but they're also installers.
Very good. Well, if you want us to cover a topic, please leave it in the comments below. We'd love to answer your questions in the chat. And we'll see you at the next Tech Tip.
Yeah, if you got any questions or if you have any comments of some of the material you'd like for us to cover, go ahead and put it in the comments below. May answer it in the comments, or it may be a good topic, something long enough that we can talk about on the next episode.
We'll make you wait a week.
That's right.
Hey, good topic. I won't answer it now.
That's right. I need help with, nothing works.
That's
wonderful
a good video.
Opportunity to talk about this next week. Yeah.
All right. Everybody take care.
Have a good day.